Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from rSpace. There's nothing like betrayal to throw your self-esteem for a loop. When your spouse betrays you, you are devastated. But your devastation might pale in comparison to the hit that your self-esteem takes when this happens. Infidelity is the worst of the worst when it comes to damaging your self-esteem. Even though you know it's not about you, there are still society's messages directed at you. Today on rSpace, we help OP out of the rabbit hole that is the destroyer of self-esteem. If you're familiar with the original story, jump to update 1 using the timestamps. Caught my wife cheating on me, and I know exactly when it started. I caught my wife with a affair partner in our bed, and I kicked him out of my house. Oh boy, this is long. Me, 44 male, and my soon-to-be ex, female 39, been married for 11 years, no kids. We were a pretty chubby couple until 2 years ago when I had a blood test and it came out that I was prone to contracting diabetes, gout, and hypertension. It really scared me, and we both bit by bit started to have a very healthy life. I went from 117 to 85 kilograms, and my wife, let's call her Jane, from 83 to 65 kilograms. We felt great, and needless to say, I never developed those diseases. We attended to a gym almost daily in the afternoon where an affair partner worked as a coach. Let's call him Baldy. When my wife started getting in shape, I noticed most guys turned to see her. I felt so proud of her. She is fairly busty, and she has magnificent legs. Of course, Baldy wasn't the exception. I noticed Baldy likes to check women's butts. I've seen him doing it several times, and he likes to show off how ripped he is. When Jane and I were regulars at the gym, I noticed she was enjoying the attention she got from men. Once, we were using the elliptical machines. In front of them, there was a cable machine. Baldy took off his t-shirt and started doing crossovers. I turned to Jane with my face of, "Can you believe this guy?" But she was staring at him and she wet her lips. I saw Baldy and I swear he was grinning. I felt crushed. I mean, I was getting in shape, but I am not as muscular and fit as he is. When we were driving home, I made a comment about Baldy showing off and Jane said, "Really? I didn't notice." I told her, "You were staring." She said, "I don't remember. I must have been thinking about something else." I shrugged it off and kept driving, but from there on, I noticed they were talking more frequently at the gym. Some weeks later, Jane was doing squats using the Smith machine. Suddenly, Baldy went to help her. Isn't he nice? He is grabbing her by the waist, and I got angry. She finished the first set, and I got there and told him in a not a nice way, "I got it from here." Baldy just smiled and told me, "No problem, buddy." He calls everybody buddy, and walked off. Jane knows me very well, and when she heard my angry tone, she said, "Oh my God, OP." I told her, "We'll discuss this at home." At home, drama blew up. She called me immature and jealous. I told her I noticed he was trying to get into her pants, but she said that she knows that, but she would never cheat on me. I said then why does she let him touch her, and she said she didn't want to be rude. About an hour later, arguing, we agreed to change gyms. So we went to another place to do exercises. But Jane was resentful at me in the following months. Her argument was that I don't trust her. On the third month after we changed gyms, a very good opportunity opened up for my job, but in the afternoon. We discussed it, and I took it, and we had to attend the gym at different hours. I went in the morning and Jane in the afternoon. This is when it all went south. Jane's resentment increased and we barely speak. I sent her messages telling her about my day, that I miss her, memes, but she rarely replied, or just, "Yes, okay, same here, ha 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 ha." I was very worried and proposed couples therapy. She said I was the one who needed therapy because I'm the one with trust issues. I agreed. I was so desperate to fix our marriage that I even thought it was all my fault. So in the following year, 2022, I went to therapy, but Jane's behavior didn't change. We weren't intimate anymore. She never was in the mood. I snooped to her phone, but didn't find anything out of the ordinary. I looked into her car for a second phone, nothing. I checked her phone again to see her map history. It only showed me, house, work, house, gym, house. Whenever I tried to talk to her, she said she just feels that she's having a 40s phase. It'll pass. I never had any evidence of cheating, so I continued working and worrying. We live in a condo. The security guard, a very cheerful man called Mr. P, greeted me. We chat a lot. He was touching his shoulder, and he told me yesterday he had to move a heavy sofa, and he has some pain today. I was sympathetic, and he dropped the bomb. "Maybe you can arrange a meeting with your massagist." I told him, "Who?" He said, "The guy who came yesterday to massage Mrs. Jane." It took me a second to process this. I told him, "Do you have a video of him?" I think he noticed I was pale and hurried to show me. Guess who? Baldy, of course. He has come over a few times to massage my wife. I took the day off and started investigating. I asked a coworker for his car, and in the afternoon I followed Jane. She parked her car at the mall where the gym is, and there's Baldy waiting for her. They giggle and behave like a couple. Kisses, hugs, and I feel nearly to tears. They walk a couple blocks and go into a residential area. I tried to follow them with my phone ready to record, but the guard stopped me and asked, "Can I help you?" I just said, "What a nice couple. Do you know them?" He said he thinks they're newlyweds, but can't tell me anything else. I called Jane, but never answered. I went to her car in the mall and wondered why that place doesn't show up on the map. I dial again and I can hear her phone inside her car. That's why. I also found out Jane hasn't attended the gym in 8 months. I didn't know that the previous night was the last day I slept with Jane in the same bed. I returned the car and went home and called my parents. Fortunately, my dad answered and I told him everything. I was crying and he comforted me and told me to get evidence. Obviously, my marriage is over, and I need all I can gather while he'll contact one of his friends who is an excellent divorce lawyer. Jane called me when she saw the 2 missed calls. I just told her I was already at home and she told me, "I'm on my way from the gym. My butt is killing me." Yeah, I can guess. When she saw me, she asked, "What happened? Why did you cry?" I don't know how, but I was mentally focused. I smiled and I told her I got the flu, that's why I left work early. "Don't come near me. It might be the bug. I'll be tested tomorrow. I'll sleep in the spare room." She agreed. I cried silently and didn't sleep a wink. Nearly midnight, I hear her giggling. I guess she's messaging Baldy, but I didn't find any evidence of contacting another man. Then it hit me. Why didn't I see it earlier? I bet affair partner is disguised as one of her female co-workers. In the morning, while Jane was in the shower, I took her phone and created a session in my laptop and put her phone back in the same place. We both can unlock our phones. The session works while the phone is close to my laptop or in the same Wi-Fi account. Then I saw it. Under a female name. The profile picture was a dumbbell. I entered and most of the conversations were deleted. I guess they use work words as code in case I snooped. "Can you deliver the papers in my desk?" I know she doesn't have a desk at work. "Going to the meeting. Where are you?" On top of them, "Boss is in his office. He's clueless." Pretty clever. I guess I am boss because I know her boss is a woman. Jane got out of the shower and saw me. "You look worse. Why don't you stay with your parents?" I denied the idea of thinking of getting evidence. After Jane went out, I contacted my dad and he gave me the name and number from the lawyer. I called him and explained everything. He told me the captions I took from my laptop are useless. They don't have any factual evidence since it's not affair partner's name, and she was smart enough to leave pieces of conversation that looks pretty innocent. I can take pictures of them at the mall, but she can argue that they are just good fellas and I can't invade into the residential area without permission because it might get me into more trouble. At work, I was in zombie mode, thinking how to get evidence. I might install secret cameras in my house, but Baldy rarely goes to my home and Jane might find them. Unless I'm out of the picture. I texted Jane and told her I'm positive of the bug and I'll stay at my parents' because I might need help. She liked the idea and told me she would miss me, but she'll call me every day. When I hung up, I called my dad and my brother. When I got home, she had already packed a suitcase for me. She was so eager to get rid of me. I told her I'll take my laptop and then I checked her messages. "Boss will be out of the office. Want to come to my desk?" She sent this message almost after I told her I was positive of the bug. Good, she bit. We didn't have dinner. No kisses, no hugs. I noticed her watching her watch twice. From the door, I told her, "I'll miss you." I was expecting her to shut the door in my face, but she walked me to my car and I was gone. My dad and brother were outside the building waiting for Baldy to appear, but he didn't show up. After half an hour, I thought, why did she walk me to my car? Of course, because Baldy was already inside the building waiting, perhaps inside her car. It would be very suspicious if her massagist came at this hour. I came back, hurried to my house, and entered silently. I heard music coming from the bedroom and the moaning. Next to the door, there is a sofa. His and her clothes were on it. I put my phone to record and opened the bedroom door, and there she was, my wife, the love of my life for 11 years, on all fours and Baldy behind her. I got a very good few seconds of both of their faces when they saw me open the door. Jane screamed and covered herself with the blanket. Baldy went alpha male immediately, walking naked towards me. I took a shot of him doing raw my wife. He yelled aggressively at me, "Why don't you go for a walk, buddy?" I hit his throat with my hand opened. I saw this movement in a Mel Gibson movie, Ransom. The next second, Baldy was coughing and gasping, kneeling on the floor. I yelled, "Get out of my house!" and kicked him out. I threw his clothes at him when my dad, brother, and Mr. P were arriving in my house. I told them, "I'll take it from here," and closed the door. Jane was still on the bed covering herself. She was trembling. I told her, "I have never hurt you, nor will I. Get dressed. I'll wait for you in the living room." While I was waiting, I sent the video to my lawyer and he answered, "I'm sorry for you, but jackpot." A few minutes later, Jane showed up. She couldn't look me in the eyes. I started recording the conversation. I asked, why? She didn't answer. Was I such an awful husband to you? She started crying but didn't answer. Do you love him? She shook her head but no words. I stand up and hit the table. Say something, dang it! She opened her eyes wide and started trembling again, like a puppy when it is scared. I have never yelled at her before. I sat and talked calmly. My lawyer will contact you for the divorce. Get a lawyer. She finally spoke. We can fix this. Fix what? Our marriage was over since Baldy was on the picture and you chose him over me. It was a mistake. No, it wasn't. It was a choice. You chose, and this is the consequence. What did you think would happen when I found out? Silence again. Go to your sisters and tell her the truth, or I will show her the video. She went to the bedroom and started packing. I followed her and watched. Since 2 days ago, I was trying to convince myself my wife is long gone. The person who I shared my house with is not my wife. But seeing her, putting her clothes inside the suitcase, neatly, with her gracious movements and those little things I love of her, hit me hard. I went to the spare room and started ugly crying. I heard when she closed the main door. She picked her clothes that were on the sofa. She made the bed where I caught them, and I dropped at the floor. So much later, I called my dad. He told me Baldy wanted to press charges, but Mr. P told him he didn't sign in, so he's trespassing. The condo can sue him. He dropped it and went out. My nosy brother pressed his ear to the door, and my dad took him from the other ear to his car. I was exhausted. The previous days I didn't sleep well, so I almost passed out on the spare room. Next morning, my phone had a lot of Jane's messages apologizing and asking for a second chance. I just blocked her. My sister-in-law called me. Apparently Jane hasn't told her what happened, just that we're fighting. I guess it's good my father-in-law is not alive to see Jane's behavior. She was the youngest and his favorite. Mother-in-law has senile dementia. All this happened a week ago. Next week, Jane is going to be served. I feel like you're absolutely right when you say she's not your wife anymore. She's not the wife you married, at least. I feel like when people have significant changes to their lives, such as losing weight, it sort of reinvents them in a way, and certain people see new doors open for them. Sometimes that means they see what appears to be things they've been missing out on. For some reason, she equates missing out on life to missing out on other men when she had a perfectly fine marriage with someone who loved her unconditionally for who she was and not what she looked like. Instead of looking to feed this newborn ego with no good men, she should have seen this as an opportunity to do things together that you wouldn't normally get the opportunity to do, or maybe what the weight would have stopped you from doing, like even being adventurous in the bedroom with your newfound self-confidence. There's tons of ways to explore life and enjoy the new you, and cheating isn't one of them. She effed up. Update. Hi everybody, I'm back with a juicy update. You'll enjoy this as much as I do. I'd like to cover some points before starting the update. First, I want to thank everybody who contacted me and gave me advice. Congratulate me or just let me know they care. I've read from other posts that the support you get is mind-blowing, but it's the first time I've experienced so much care from strangers. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Second, as you can guess, English is my second language, so I messed up in some sentences and confused prepositions. Sorry about that. Also, I wrongly said Jane was doing sit-ups. She was doing squats. Third, to those who think my story is fake, you are entitled to think whatever you want. I just hope my testimony helps someone in the future as much as others have helped me. Fourth, about how I hit the affair partner. It was not a fancy ninja punch. I just chop in the throat that, frankly, it was lucky I reacted before Baldy did. I won't lie, seeing him on the floor coughing felt great. Fifth, some of the readers found a post I made in Ask and Ask Reddit a month before D-Day. I never got it posted because I didn't understand the rules of the community, and today it isn't important anymore. A quick summarize. Jane and I were trying to be parents for 10 years. On the 8th year, we saved enough money to buy 3 opportunities in the most expensive and successful reproduction clinic here in my country. All 3 failed. Jane started her affair during the 3rd one. That's the clinic where my blood was tested, and adding the history of diseases from my family, they gave me the probabilities of developing diabetes, gout, hypertension, and having strokes. I should thank them. Someone mentioned that Jane intentionally aborted in the 3rd shot because it might be affair partner's baby. Well, that's not possible, because for her it's almost impossible to conceive naturally. The embryos were fecunded in vitro and then implanted directly in her womb. I tried to repost my question, but she came and told me, I don't want to have kids anymore. So I dropped it. I'm sure Baldy doesn't have anything to do with her decision. This is important for later. Let's continue with the update. It's been 12 days since D-Day. What have I been doing from there? D-Day +1, Friday. I had a nice chat with Mr. P. He confessed he faked his shoulder pain. He just wanted to warn me about Baldy. As he told me, a very nosy neighbor saw when I kicked Baldy naked from my apartment. Surely in a week, the whole condo will know my situation. My brother came to help me change the lock on the door. When he left, I felt so alone and cried a lot. I called my job to ask for the day off. At night, I spoke to my lawyer. He said he's making the divorce papers. He couldn't start until he had the evidence, so my divorce will be divorce by mutual consent. That's smoother than uncaused divorce. That's longer and pretty nasty. Also, he told me not to share the video. Jane will be served in 2 weeks. Sister-in-law called me, but I told her to ask Jane why we're divorcing. D-Day +2, Saturday. Sister-in-law came and I showed her the video. I drove her home and saw Jane's car. When I got home, I felt crushed and cried some more. D-Day +3, Sunday. I visited my parents. My mom cried with me. She really loved Jane. My dad had a chat with me about my money, properties, and stuff. When I returned home, Mr. P told me Jane and Baldy showed up. I guess they are going to make public their relationship now that the cat is out of the bag. But strangely, they came at different times. Jane came in the morning. She parked her car and saw mine wasn't there. Tried to enter my house, but her key doesn't work anymore. Then she asked Mr. P if he knew where I went. He didn't know and told her,
Mr. O.P. gave me this for you.
My attorney's card. She kept it and left. Baldy came in the afternoon and first asked to see Jane. Mr. P told him,
Mrs. Jane,
emphasis on Mrs.,
doesn't live here anymore.
Then asked to see me, and Mr. P told him,
Mr. O.P. is away. No idea when he'll return.
And he left. I guess they both are not in contact yet. I wanted to ask about Jane. Is she sad? Did she look healthy? Did she ask about my well-being? But then I remembered D-Day and just thanked and said goodnight to Mr. P. When I got home, I cried a lot again. D-Day +4, Monday. I didn't want to, but something I learned from all you champions is to hit hard the gym. So I looked for a new gym near my job and had a good session. I felt pretty good. Then I returned to work. At home, I didn't cry this time and started taking out all of Jane's pictures. D-Day +5, Tuesday. Had a meeting with my lawyer to review my assets. Fortunately, my dad made Jane sign a prenup, so she can't touch anything I had before we got married. My house, mainly. All remaining stuff gets divided 50-50, and I can get a compensation for her adultery. As compensation, I'm going to take out alimony. I can fight for all the stuff, but everything reminds me of her, and I want to start new. When I left home, I heard whispers. I turned my head and saw two neighbors that immediately pretended they didn't see me. They walked in front of me and greeted me. I knew this would happen. After that, I went to the gym and work. This repeats all week, so I'm going to omit. D-Day +6, Wednesday. Nothing interesting. I only have Facebook as social media. I ignore all DMs asking me to contact Jane. I closed it and opened Reddit and had a nice time reading about all you champions that overcame what I had been experiencing. I feel better. So I thought of sharing my own experience. D-Day +7, Thursday. I started writing. I posted it before going to the gym. When I was at work, it amazed me how many people were reacting to my story. I answered some comments. D-Day +8, Friday. I was reading my comments and answering all morning. I was smiling. Feels good to be appreciated. 2 comments stuck in my mind that I didn't think about. 1, report affair partner to my old gym. And 2, my home is tainted. I need a fresh start. So before I went to the gym, I looked for real estate agents to sell or rent my house. I'm not comfortable here anymore. I haven't entered into my bedroom since D-Day. I've been sleeping in the spare room. I don't want to live like this. D-Day +9, Saturday. Since Jane would come and bother me, I decided to spend the day outside. She did come, then she visited my parents and brother. They just texted me, Jane came. I answered, thank you, I don't want to talk about her yet. D-Day +10, Sunday. I spent the day with my parents. We visited a town 2 hours from the city and had a blast. I don't know if Jane came. My dad told me not to sell my house, but to rent it. I agreed and went home. When I got home, Mr. P told me Baldy came in the afternoon and alone again. He asked for me, but Mr. P told him I'm away. He left without a word. D-Day +11, Monday. Yesterday, Monday morning, I went to my old gym. I was not sure if I'd meet Baldy. He worked in the afternoon, but he was screwing my wife in the afternoon, so I thought he'd changed his shift. He was nowhere. I asked to talk to Frank, the gym owner. While I was waiting for him, I met an old janitor I used to chat with. He told me to say hi to Miss Jane. I guess my new normal is to tell everyone we split up. I smiled at him. Frank finally received me. I asked about Baldy. He told me Monday is his day off. He asked for more hours and now he works from Tuesday to Sunday in the morning. Then I explained the reason for my visit. He listened carefully until I finished and finally showed him the video. He stayed silent and thinking, he said, "You're not gonna like this." I just thought, what now? Frank called the receptionist to bring Harry, another coach and Baldy's friend. He has a big beard. Frank asked him to tell me about Baldy's girlfriend. Fasten your seatbelts, this is good. According to Harry, Baldy is head over heels for Jane, and Frank confirmed it. He told me Baldy had many complaints, especially from female members, but for the last months, he has changed. No complaints, and he's very professional to all the members. And Harry told me something that made my jaw drop. Baldy is trying to marry Jane by baby trapping her. I was processing this information when I felt something starting from my chest. It climbed up my throat and finally blew up in my mouth. I laughed. I swear I was Joker madly laughing. I even teared a bit. Frank and Harry were very confused. I thought, oh, sweet karma, thank you. After I calmed, but with a big grin on my face, Harry asked what was going on, and Frank explained, "This is Baldy's girlfriend's husband." Harry made a shocked face.
Oh man, this is bad. This is really messed up.
Harry left. Next, we discussed about firing Baldy. Frank said he has to report the situation to the Coach Association, not real name, and he surely has to fire him because Jane was a gym member of Frank's gym, could have legal repercussions. About his license as coach, I need to make a legal document explaining Baldy is the reason of my divorce, the key number of my divorce case, and the video. My attorney will give the video to the Coaches Association attorney. I can't share it. Baldy will lose his license from that association, but he can go to another association and apply for another license. It'd take months, though. I asked if Baldy can appeal. Frank said he might, but it would be a waste of energy. The association does not tolerate such conduct. Also, he doesn't have the money to pay for somebody who represents him. That reminded me of the residential area where he entered with Jane. I thought Baldy was wealthy. Frank brought his face closer to me.
What residential area?
I showed on the Maps app.
You tailed them to this place?
I did, on D-Day -1. Frank got angry.
That's where my late father's house is.
And Frank's father passed away. He inherited the house. All the equipment that's obsolete or needs repair goes to that house. He lent Baldy the key to go and keep some stuff occasionally, but he does not have permission to stay there. He surely has a copy of the key, and he might be living there illegally. He's going to investigate this further. It'll be easy since there are tons of cameras in that place. I was leaving the gym when I heard,
Mr. OP, wait.
It was Harry. He told me he was sorry about what's happening. Baldy never told him who his girlfriend was. He just said that he met her at XXX Mall. I thanked him and took a step towards the exit. He rushed.
Can you tell me what happened?
I told him, pretty much what you heard. He was screwing my wife and now I'm divorcing her. Another step.
What will happen to Baldy?
That depends on Frank and the Coaches Association. I tried to take another step.
But how are you handling it?
Okay, now this is strange. I stared at Harry and remembered Baldy went to my house twice. I said, you called Baldy and he's on his way here, right? You're just buying time. Am I wrong? He made a guilty face.
Please, Mr. OP, talk to him. He's really desperate. He was crying yesterday. His your wife, isn't returning his calls.
Tell me, why should I care if he's rotting in hell?
I'll be here with you, so you don't need to be scared.
I laughed. Scared? Of that weakling? He didn't tell you I kicked him out of my house naked, right? Harry didn't believe me. Fine, let's see what he wants. I saw there are cameras where we were talking and sat in front of a table in the reception. I don't think Baldy is stupid enough to attack me, but who knows? Besides, I'm really curious about what he wants. He came running 10 minutes later and saw me waiting for him. He extended his hand. I crossed my arms and left him with the hand hanging. What the hell do you want? I looked angrily directly into his eyes. He sat in front of me.
Listen, buddy.
Stop right there. We are not buddies. Mr. S., the janitor, is my buddy. You are not. He seemed apologetic.
Okay, my bad. I want to say I'm sorry for everything. I never wanted to hurt you, and I really care about Jane.
Well, you just said 3 lies to my face. You are not sorry. You did mean to destroy my life, and you just care about yourself. He changed from apologetic to annoyed.
Okay, whatever, man. Just tell me where Jane is.
Last time I saw her was when I kicked her cheating butt out of my house after I kicked you out naked. I know Harry was listening. Baldy's face changed color to red.
That was a cheap shot. I should sue you.
As far as I know, you entered my home illegally, and perhaps you were raping my wife. I have videos of you getting out, but you didn't sign in. He changed again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Tell me what you want from me, please. Tell Jane I need to speak to her.
In that moment, Frank came in a rush. I guess he saw through the cameras that Baldy showed up.
Everything okay here?
Everything is fine, Frank. I was just telling this sissy what I want. I stand up and talk close to Baldy's face. What I want is what is coming for you. What you deserve. What the law has prepared for you. I want to crush your dreams just like you did with mine. You want kids? Guess what? You won't, and you will never have. Baldy said,
What's that supposed to mean?
But Frank asked him to see him in his office. Harry looked impressed. He grabbed Baldy's arm and pulled him.
Dude, you're in deep crap.
I finally left. D-Day +12, Tuesday. I feel I'm ready to face Jane now. I'm still grinning while I type this. So, how have you been? Radar 1031 from the community says, stay strong, man, and be prepared for the biggest bunch of BS to get thrown at you over the next few weeks. She's so sorry, she only loves you, she doesn't know what she was thinking, all the usual crap. This is so much worse than the run-of-the-mill affair in that she found it amusing to use secret code words that made you look like some loser. She couldn't wait to get Baldy into your house. She's scum, and the only answer here is scorched earth, my friend. Bury them both. I can't think of more deserving people. The OP replies, of course, my friend. Thanks to all the people who have passed for all this crap and left their testimony. I know what is coming. I'm mentally getting ready for the war. Gerbil in my butthole says, OP, don't stop working out. Keep eating right, throw away the bed, and put the condo up for sale. I would find a new one. That one is tainted. Sounds like you have a support system, and just get back into some hobbies to keep you busy, along with your support group and your work. OP, just another thought. You should go take a week or two vacation with some buddies and go somewhere the women are aplenty. Enjoy your time away. Don't post until the divorce is finalized. Edit. Saw you were trying for kids. Take half the money you saved and use it for this vacation. Make sure the money is earmarked, and don't forget to open up a new account. The OP replies, I completely agree with you. I started paying for this place for 10 years, before I married soon-to-be ex. Now I can enter into the room where I found them. I've installed in the spare room now, but just as you say, it's tainted. I'll sell as soon as the divorce is over. Good part is, Jane signed a prenup thanks to my dad. I love that wise man. Wow, I have a few thoughts. Baldy seems like a real piece of work. Honestly, she gave it up for the first moron who showed her meaningless attention. He's just one of those guys who feeds his ego with women who laugh at his jokes and smile at him because he's being creepy and they think it's a way to get rid of him. I don't know why anyone would want to cheat on their partner with this cheap sleazeball. I mean, Jane obviously has some self-confidence issues, but dang, that's a new low. And then for Baldy to say that he's fallen head over heels? Please. This guy needs to get a grip. He must be just as self-conscious. Maybe they deserve each other. Two airheads in a pod. At the same time, I think for Harry to say that you should talk to Baldy because he's desperate is totally out of line. It shouldn't be any of his or anybody's business but you and your ex. And then for Baldy to beg you to get a hold of Jane, it's also bass-ackwards. Moreover, I think you're right to rent this place out. I wouldn't stay there. Like you said, it's tainted, and it's not yours anymore. It doesn't fit the narrative to your new life. Let us know your thoughts so far in the comments below. Update 2. Hi again. I didn't expect to update so soon, but something important has happened. I'd like to share something that my therapist told me. Do you remember I started therapy because Jane suggested I'm having trust issues? Turns out I don't have any. I'm one step to become a very gullible person. But the therapist noticed I have a lot of insecurities due to my obesity. Since I can remember, I was the chubby, nerdy guy at school. Never a boyfriend, always best friend. I had my first girlfriend at 18, and she dumped me a week later for a better-looking guy. I went to an engineering high school, so ladies were few. My next relationship was at my 20s with a very toxic girl who blamed me for everything, even for the rain. She really did a job on me, making me feel guilty for anything that pops in her mind. Later, I started working because my family had money problems and I didn't have another relationship until I met Jane at university. The previous session to the last one with my therapist, we discussed my feelings about not having kids. She has helped me to get my priorities in order. Number 1, me and everything that covers myself like physical, health, gym and eating well, intelligence, studying, learning, mental challenges, and soul, beliefs, moral ethics. Number 2, people who live with me, Jane. Number 3, family and friends. Number 4, work. Number 5, leisure and entertainment. Last session was about Jane. The therapist asked about my plans. I told her I will divorce Jane. She told me it is normal I'm in such distress because my priority 2 is crumbling. I will have to pass through similar stages of grieving death: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I had to Google them because I forgot them. I'm in the bargaining stage because I'm thinking a lot of what ifs. For example, what if she really is remorseful? What if we're the golden couple who will survive an infidelity? But the reality is that I will never trust her ever again. It will kill me knowing that she's at home alone doing God knows what when I'm at work. Torture for me. Depression is a dangerous stage in my case because it can lead me to gaining weight again. I should stick to the gym and watch closely my diet. Hope this info helps people who are grieving. Now the update. I've been very busy. I applied for a promotion at the job. I could have taken it a long time ago, but it demands a lot of traveling. I feel it will help me heal to be away. Also, I've been looking for a new place to live and I found one small apartment perfect for me. I've already paid 3 months of rent in advance. I'll move as soon as possible. I haven't seen Jane since D-Day, or Baldy since that Monday when, I am sure, he was fired. On the bright side, one of my neighbors, a lady in her 50s, met me in the condo's elevator. She told me she hasn't seen Jane lately. I told her we're slipping apart. And then she happens to remember she's having a dinner and her single niece is coming for a few days and I'm invited. It took me by surprise. Looks like I'm in the market again. My attorney told me Jane was going to be served last Friday, but we had some festivities in my country, so she was served last Sunday morning at my in-laws' home. The following Monday, somebody, Jane I guess, slided a letter under my door, 3 sheets back and front, from Jane, mainly explaining about what led her to cheat. Here, we'll introduce the second villainess in the story, a coworker. We'll call her Flirty. I met her sometimes at Jane's work events, like Christmas or anniversary celebrations. She's really thin, almost skinny, and usually wears a lot of makeup. Also, she thinks every man wants to sleep with her. One time, she told Jane I was staring at her. I did once, because I could see her ribs and I thought she was unhealthily thin. Anyway, according to Jane's letter, when she lost weight, Flirty approached her because she wanted them to be best friends since they are the 2 hotties at work. That's when the brainwashing started. Flirty made her think she deserves a better man. She's entitled to it. She told her I was a pathetic man that will try to own her now that she's hot. When the incident with the Smith machine happened, Flirty said to Jane,
See, didn't I tell you? He wants to be your owner more than your husband.
Jane bought it, and due to Flirty's manipulation, she was resentful to me for months. When we attended the gym at different times, Jane met Baldy accidentally at the mall, and he approached her. She confessed she had a crush for a guy similar to Baldy before I met her. She never told me that before. They went for a bite, and they both flirted. Jane showed Flirty Baldy's picture from Facebook, and she told her she'll be a dumb witch if she didn't F him. Besides, her pathetic husband, me, doesn't compare with that Greek god. She had the opportunity, she was eager, so she did. Baldy took her to his house that coincidentally is close to the mall where they ran into each other. So she doesn't know that's Frank's dad's home. All this happened 9 months ago. Flirty is a professional cheater. She told Jane how to cover her tracks, the work words code, to hide Baldy's contact, and to hide her map tracking historial. She even told her that changing her phone password is stupid because I'll immediately suspect. Jane noticed Baldy hated when she talked about me, and as punishment, he made hickeys on her body. Now I remember she started using pajamas to sleep because it was cold. He used to trash me, but she never played along. Meanwhile, Flirty used to tell her that she's entitled to this romance, and I deserve being cheated on because I'm a beta. During those months, she says she liked the feeling of danger, the thrill, and the sex with Baldy was good. But it also hurt her seeing me struggle trying to be a better husband and knowing she was the reason of my pain. It was easier to ignore me and continue with the pleasure Baldy gave her. D-Day arrives. I completely blindsided her. She thought I was clueless. I'm going to write this part just like she wrote it. I was in shock and I covered myself with a blanket by pure instinct. When I reacted, I saw you pushing and kicking Baldy out of the room and the house. When I heard you closing the door and coming back, I didn't know what to say. I have never seen you this angry before. Then you said, I have never hurt you, nor will I. That's true. In the years we've known each other, you have never hurt me. Not even when we found out that it's my fault that we can't have children. After that, she heard me crying in the spare room. She wanted to comfort me, but how could she? In the main door, we have a mirror to check ourselves before going out. She looked at herself, but she couldn't bear the look. When she entered her car, she cried and told herself, What have I done? Baldy called her that night, but she blocked him. She arrived at sister-in-law's house at about midnight, 2 hours later after the drama. Her house is around 40 minutes from mine. She was scared of telling sister-in-law what happened, because she's older and she has a very strong character. Next day, she told Flirty what had happened. Flirty told her she should be happy that she got rid of me. I'm going to copy this part too.
And then what? Babe, you're free. You can have sex with Baldy or any guy you want. And then? I don't follow you. What will happen when I'm tired of having sex with a bunch of guys? Then you can decide which one to date seriously. And then what? I don't know. Get married, I suppose. But I already had a marriage. But it was with OP. He's a loser. I bet Baldy is 100 times better than him. No, that's not true. He gave me a good life. Don't settle for so little. You can have a better man.
Then they proceed to have a big fight in front of the coworkers. She can't recall it well, but she remembers swearing and yelling at her. Flirty told her that any guy hotter than me is better than me. I don't get what she has against me. But Jane realized what she destroyed. She was inconsolable and her boss let her go home early. The next day is when I showed sister-in-law the video. Jane was babysitting sister-in-law's twins. After I drove her home, sister-in-law asked Jane to help her going to do some errands. Just the 2 of them. That was a lie. They parked at a park and she demanded to know what was happening in her head to cheat on me. Jane cried and told her, I don't know. Sister-in-law confessed she was envious of our marriage. 11 years and not a huge fight. We both looked happy. She couldn't believe her little sister was capable of such a thing. Jane was there for her sister-in-law when her ex-husband left her for another woman. Jane asked her not to kick her out, but sister-in-law told her she can stay. After all, the house belonged to both of them. But she let her know she's very disappointed and she will side with me if I ever needed help. Jane understood. Next Sunday, Jane came to apologize, but I was not home. When she received my attorney's card, she called and my attorney confirmed I hired him. She knew I was really going to divorce her, so she went to her new home and wrote a confession and sent it to everybody we both know. I started receiving messages and phone calls the following week, but I didn't want to read or answer. Now I read some of the DMs, and it is what she said. Most of them want to comfort me. One of her cousins said it takes guts to confess, so I should give her a try. The following week, she tried to distract herself with work, but it seems everybody now knows she cheated. If you are unfaithful, in my country, people see you like an easy woman. So female coworkers don't talk to her, particularly flirty, and male coworkers are annoyingly friendly to her. She asked to be relocated, but it'll take months. So she quit her job the following Friday. She has a good amount of savings. We had our finances separated, and since I was a big earner, I paid for almost everything. Next day, she was looking for me, in her words, to beg to take her back. She came here, but when she saw I wasn't home, she went to my parents. My dad refused to speak to her, but my mom was sympathetic and told her that she's sorry about all this, but her son, me, is really hurt and asked them not to talk about her anymore. Jane understood, but then went to my brothers. He told her, "OP is not here, and frankly, I don't want to talk to you," and closed the door in her face. She came back to her new house very sad. All last week, she had been reflecting about her actions, and she's been really depressed, realizing how much damage she has done to our relationship, to her family, and mine. And all for the meaningless pleasure coming from a douchebag that, in her words,
believes vaccines are just a pharmacy scam and believes in astrology.
Yeah, Baldy is heavily tattooed. He has a Taurus sign on his arm. Sister-in-law suggested her to go to therapy. I don't blame her. If my brother were in the same situation, I'd be very disappointed, but I try to make him realize what is wrong with him. She finally went to therapy, and her therapist suggested writing me this letter and come clean to me. So she says all written in the letter is true. She swears on her life if I take her back, there will be no spouse in the history of humanity more grateful, loyal, and honest than her. She suggests total access to her social media, that I already had. She will always answer my calls no matter the situation, and to never have friends that I don't approve. There are more things about family and friends that I don't think it's important to share. Besides, it needs a lot of context. Finally, she pleads to meet me and let her apologize properly to my face. In her words,
Sorry doesn't start to describe what I'm feeling right now.
what do I think of this letter? The things I can confirm is that she hasn't contacted Baldy till that Monday when he was fired, and she confessed to family and friends. The rest could be partially true. Also, I'm sure it's been sweetened. For example, she does not mention when she called me jealous and immature. She does not mention letting Baldy do her raw, and she let him finish inside. She can give me all her passwords, but she lied to my face and gaslighted me for 9 months, according to her. And she was very good at it. Besides, I don't want to be her jailer. As I said, I will never trust her ever again. When I see her face, I'll also see Baldy's nape in front of her. I will not be her second option, nor will be a doormat. I haven't replied yet, but I think I'll see her next weekend. Marianne0601 from the community suggests, my mom had a coworker that constantly told her to cheat on my dad. We're talking over 10 years telling her that garbage. Dad drank. My mom hit a breaking point, and lots of men always made passes at her. What did she do when she finally got fed up? She came home and yelled at my father that it takes 2 people to make a marriage, and they were going to go to counseling. She already made the appointment. The coworker came up in counseling because she had told my dad to his face my mom should cheat on him. Mom's answer? The coworker is so unhappy with who she is that she sleeps with everyone to feel better. Why would she listen to someone that's broken and can't fix herself? My parents were married over 49 years when my dad died. Mom got asked out after he passed and still wouldn't date. Your wife's excuses are just that, excuses and not good ones. Move on and know that there is someone else out there for you. NoArt7321 says, you know what you need to do. She cheated on you for almost a year, and it took her being caught to realize how awful it was. Continue with your divorce. It sucks, but you'll find someone who wants to be with you wholeheartedly, not just till something better comes along. I'm really sorry this happened, but you will be okay in the long run. Good job seeking therapy and trying to find peace in all this. You are stronger than you know. Onwards and upwards, my friend. Good. Don't ever be a doormat. She made her choice long ago, and honestly, I don't think flirty is responsible. Jane was obviously having these thoughts herself. There's no way someone who was confident in themselves and happy in life would make the conscious decision to cheat. Her words are meaningless. She's just upset she ruined her own life with her own choices. She could have had something beautiful. Update 3. Hi champions, I'm back. Thank you to all who contacted me. I've been silent because I needed time to reflect and I finally got it. Thank you very much. It's been some very rough days. For those who want to know, I did meet Jane. No, I didn't answer her letter. It was by a dumb mistake I made. I'll explain. A few days after my last post, I had an anxiety attack due to the stress I had bottled up. According to my therapist, my life had a 180 change and my mind hadn't had time to adjust. It was my first time having this kind of episodes. I thought I was having a stroke. Tachycardia, sweating, and panic clouded my judgment. My coworkers dialed to emergency and an ambulance came for me. If I hadn't been so scared, I'd have enjoyed the ride. I was so very sure at any moment I'd croak. The paramedic repeated to me, "Mister, you're having a panic attack. Everything is going to be fine." I tried to focus on his words, but I couldn't. My only thoughts were, I'm going to die. At the hospital, they sedated me and I started to feel better and sleepy. I could answer questions. The doctor asked me for my name, my age, what day it was. I could answer correctly until I passed out. When I woke up, guess who was next to me? Jane. I forgot to take out her name and number for my emergency contact. I was very confused due to the drugs. I smiled at her and said, "Jane?" She was sitting reading a book, and when she heard me, she jumped off her seat and approached me. She had tears in her eyes and told me,
Hello, my love. You really scared us.
That's when everything came back to me. I stopped smiling and asked, "What are you doing here?" I tried to sit, but my body felt numb and clumsy. She shushed me and told me,
Take it easy. No sudden movements. I'll get the doctor.
She kissed my forehead and left. I wanted to evade the kiss, but also my reflexes were numb. The kiss felt so familiar, but I know it has been more than a year since she kissed me with sincere love. While she was gone, I saw around me. I was in a big room with other 6 beds, 4 of them with patients. They all separated by curtains to have privacy. I also noticed I wasn't wearing my clothes, but a hospital robe. A few minutes later, she came back with a doctor. I had slept for 26 hours. The doctor explained all about the anxiety attack I suffered. He asked me if I'd stopped taking any meds, but Jane and I answered almost at the same time. I don't. He doesn't take any meds. I hate how well she knows me. The doctor told me the episode comes from a heavy stress or sudden change in my life, or both. I glanced at Jane, but she hid her eyes. He ordered some days off to reflect and get some therapy. I told him I'm already on therapy, but the doc said I needed to see a psychiatrist. My therapist is a thanatologist, psychologist, so she can't prescribe meds. He told me that I must be hungry, and the next day I'd be discharged, and he left. It was 8 p.m., so Jane had another hour until visiting hours were over, and she didn't look like she wanted to leave. It felt awkward, and that feeling leads me to chatter like an idiot. So I asked, "You said you scared us. Who are us?" She smiled. I bet she knew I couldn't resist to talk.
Your parents and me. They were here in the morning.
Did they leave?
Yes, they are expecting my call.
I'll talk to them tomorrow. You can leave. I want to sleep.
But your dinner is almost here.
When the doctor mentioned I must be hungry, my stomach grumbled. I didn't eat a thing for 26 hours. A few minutes later, a veteran nurse came with a tray on a cart. She asked Jane to manipulate the bed so I'd be in a sitting position to eat. I don't know what kind of face I made because Jane was amused and staring at me while the nurse arranged the tray in front of me on my bed. I'm an ex-glutton guy. She said,
God, I love you so much.
I glared at her again and asked her one more time to go home, but the nurse got really mad at me. According to her, Jane sponge-bathed me and even shaved me. I didn't notice until she told me. Finally, she asked Jane to feed me because I was still coming out of the meds. I told her we were getting divorced, but she said that's not her problem and I should be thanking her. She's been here to help, and I'm a very ungrateful person. Then she left. I refused her help and tried to eat even though my movements were very clumsy. I was making a mess with the soup and Jane begged me to let her help me. I felt like a spoiled brat making a tantrum. I just said fine and let her feed me. I've never felt so vulnerable before. She behaved very maternalistic and affectionate. I could have a close look at her. She wasn't wearing makeup. I saw more lines of expression, and also, she has crow's feet now. I felt better after I finished eating. She took the tray out of the room. She was in a good mood. I saw a patient in front of me, a man in his 50s, checking Jane when she went out and came back. I'm not surprised. She was wearing a coat and jeans, but she's very pretty. I didn't like the feeling of being in debt with her. When she sat down, I said, "Thanks for being here." She looked me in the eyes and smiled.
Anytime.
She tried to comb my hair and my forehead with her hand, but I could reject her this time. She looked hurt and I didn't say anything. She tried to grab my hand, but I removed it and she said,
Can we talk, please?
I remained silent. There are only 2 reasons for me to at least be cordial to her. The twins. They weren't baptized when they were toddlers, but after sister-in-law's ex went away, Jane and I supported sister-in-law and the twins. I love those 2 little rascals with all my heart. When we babysitted for them, I told Jane this would count as parenting training for when we had our own. That will never happen. Sister-in-law asked us to be their godparents, and I teared with emotion. They're the closest thing I have to a daughter and a son. I know Jane loves them too, and I don't want any drama near my godson and goddaughter, and I miss them so much. I haven't seen them since about a week before D-Day. Also, I haven't spoken to them because I was avoiding Jane. So I told her, okay, let's talk. In the condo. I'll contact you soon. She offered to take me home the next day when I get discharged. I told her no, I'll ask my parents to come for me, and I'll see her again in the condo. I wanted to talk to my parents. She noticed I was looking for my clothes. She opened a cabinet next to my bed and gave me my phone. I looked at her suspiciously and she gave me her guilty face again, meaning I am sure she snooped my phone and she admitted it. We didn't utter a word. That's the language we developed by being married 11 years. I don't care if she snooped. I have nothing to hide. I texted my parents and they called almost immediately. While I was talking to them, the same old nurse told Jane visiting hours were over. She wanted to say goodbye, but I ignored her. She whispered in my ear,
I know you keep your word. I'll wait for you to contact me. I love you.
She kissed my hair and left. I do keep my word. My father always told me, a man is worth as much as his word. I asked my parents if they knew what happened after I passed out. According to them, one of my coworkers showed up in the hospital to give information about my medical security. That's when the staff saw the emergency contact and they called Jane. Sister-in-law contacted them after the hospital called. When Jane came, she met my coworker and he left. Jane was waiting for the doctor assigned to me when my parents arrived. My dad was very cordial to her and asked what she knew. After a while waiting, a nurse called out, Relatives of patient OP? They stood up and the nurse guided them to the doctor. They've already tested my blood and told them I'm physically healthy. My anxiety attack stems from a psychological aspect. The doctor asked for Jane to see me because she's the emergency contact. She promised my parents to call them after seeing me. When she came back, she was surprised my parents were still there waiting. She gave them a ride to their home, while she told them she helped the nurses to undress me and put the hospital robe on. They didn't talk about our divorce. My parents thanked her for the ride and agreed to visit in the morning, and she'd switch in the afternoon around 1 p.m. Also, I called sister-in-law to thank her for calling my parents. Luckily, my godchildren were still up and I could speak to them. They were drawing get well soon cards for me. I promised to visit next weekend. Next day, it was Thursday. I was discharged from the hospital. My parents took me to my new home. A week before my panic attack, I started moving into my new place. I took my personal belongings. Everything else will stay in the condo. I'll rent it as fully furnished. Luckily, there are 3 universities nearby. I know there are students who would kill for a place like mine. I've already bought the basic furniture, a refrigerator, a stove. I have to learn to cook my meals from now on, a bed, a table with chairs and a desk, cleaning tools. I felt thrilled for the first time. I can call this little apartment my own place. I bought a nice warm jacket for Mr. P. I gave it to him, thanked for his help, and told him I'll visit from time to time. I didn't attend to my neighbor's dinner. I don't feel like dating yet. I think I need more therapy and do some more healing. At my new home, I reflected about my goals meeting Jane. I concluded I needed closure, understand her actions, make her understand there is no possible reconciliation, and end up things amicably. I'll divorce her and move on, but I don't want to lose my in-laws, my sweet and incoherent mother-in-law, my stubborn and strong sister-in-law, and her twins who I love. I don't want to miss their birthdays and future achievements. I want to be at least cordial to Jane. At job, my boss gave me 5 days off starting next week. I didn't want to stay in, so I went to the beach. It really helped me to be away from everything and rest. I realized I do love my wife, but the chubby one, the one who got excited when Pizza Fridays arrived, the one who I married 11 years ago, the one who supported my dreams and hopes, the one who hugged me when life got rough. I don't know what happened to her. Did vanity kill her? Horniness? No idea, but I loved my wife deeply, and the one who betrayed me is not my wife. Life Yogurt Closet 98 from the community says, the one who betrayed you was your wife. She became different after. The betrayal wasn't the sex, it was everything that led up to it the first time. I like how you are handling everything, OP, and I hope you confirmed Baldy being fired and hope you realize dating doesn't have to lead to marriage. You can date and end up platonic, but dating is just a way to practice getting to know whether a person can connect with you, and you have been out of the game for a while. Good luck, OP. Skiller Wolf 1234 says, hope you're doing better now, but it sounds like it. Your wife died when she started drooling and licking her lips over Baldy. She still thinks that you can be together, but you are not falling for her tricks. Wish you a good life and hope you update us yet again. I've been waiting for so long for this update. I'm so sorry, OP. This actually breaks my heart. It's really unfortunate how someone can change so much. I mean, there's one thing to be super happy about yourself and have that spill over into other aspects of your life, like your marriage, and having that blossom as well because of your own self-love and happiness. And there's another where You totally let it all get to your head, and you ruin the only beautiful thing in your life by cheating on someone who loves you more than life itself. Please know that you did nothing wrong, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Don't ever compare yourself to others, and don't let her behavior be any measurement of your value. Your ex doesn't deserve you. You're far too good a person. Try to focus on what this means for you. There's a space here now that's going to allow you to focus on you and your true value. Your ex's betrayal should stand in stark contrast to all that you are and all that you stand for. You were the one who kept constant integrity. That's beautiful. You were the one who took the high road and chose to be a good husband. That's beautiful. You live a life where you do not hurt others. That's beautiful. Do not allow yourself to think for one instant that you are less than beautiful. Do not allow negative thoughts to fool you into believing that you are less than. What are your thoughts? What does OP need to hear? And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. Also, please let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. See you next time.